Hello and welcome to a new video in Practical Sheets. Today we continue our reservation system with Google Forms, Google Sheets and Google Apps Script. Just as a quick catch-up of what we've done in the last videos, we have three parts of this system. We have our sheets, our forms and our Google Script. The sheet consists of two parts. The sheet that is synced with the Google form where we receive the answers, and another one where I have my possible appointment dates. And in a separate column, I have a formula where I know if the slot is booked or not. Then I have my Google Forms where the user can submit a reservation with these slots. And the good thing about this is that this formula is updated automatically each time a new form is submitted, and at the same time, this question of the date is also updated once this happens. So let's do a quick example. I'm going to make a reservation. Let's say I do a reservation here this September 20 at 10 a.m. I submit. And once I submit, first I have this reservation done. Then I have this formula changed to booked, and if I try to submit another response, the 9:20 is deleted. You can see that here I cannot find it because what the script does in these fill update functions is that it goes to my sheet, gets this array, and then with a filter and a map, it brings a list, but deleting this booked. So my list is this plus this, all the ones that say free. And finally, we go to our form and to our date question, and we update the options with this array we prepared. That's it. We've done this in two videos and it's very easy. The last component of this system is that we have some triggers. So we have two triggers for the same function. One trigger is once I add new date. If I add a new date, let's say I'm going to add October 28, for example, or 27. The format is important because here we have display values. If I go to my form, I have the new option, but you can see that the option has a different format. So it is very important that the format matches the other ones, because here it will bring it with the format. If a user is going to submit a reservation, now they can see the 27. And we have another trigger that triggers the function when the form is submitted, so that automatically these options are updated and the form is updated at the same time. So the next person that will do the reservation can see the changes and has the updated dates. So that's it. Here I forgot to put update an hour to my date. So what we're going to do today is to sync this up with Google Calendar, because it will be easier for us to do these available dates in Calendar. So I need two things. First, to bring my dates from Calendar, and then to update my calendar once things are booked. I could maybe put it in another color, the ones that are booked, or put it in another calendar. There may be a couple of options, or in the description, something that I know that this is booked. And what happens if I delete a calendar, or if I delete an event or something? So I need to have some considerations. Let's start and see what this takes us. I'm going to add a new calendar. Add a new calendar. It's going to be called Google Sheet Classes, because this is the thing we have been building up the reservation system for. It's just an example. Let's create the calendar. If I go here to my Google Sheet Classes, and down here, I have the calendar ID. So this will be important. We will need it later, but we can also find this out through our Google Sheets. We're going to go to our code. In our fill out dates, we're going to connect with Calendar, with the Calendar app. In the Calendar app, I can connect with a special calendar. With this get calendar by ID, I'm going to connect with the calendar I just added. I will call this calendar. just to not get mixed with all my other events I may have, my personal events and all that. So I think it's better, and it's a recommendation to have a separate calendar for these reservations, so for your company or your services or whatever. Even if you have a special Gmail account just for your project, then we would have only the main calendar, but this will also have an ID. And normally the ID of your main calendar is your email. So it's very easy. So here you would change this for your email. Let's say I'm going to create slots this week from 7 to 8, appointment slot. I don't know how we can call it. To duplicate it here and another one here. This we could do it with a recurring event also, but we could address this in the next video. In the meantime, I just want to know if we can connect this properly. Okay, so I have my 5 appointment slots. We're going to bring them here. How can we do this? Calendar has a method that's called get events. Get events normally needs a start time and an end time. So let's say that we can do these start times and end times with the date method from JavaScript. And then there are many ways of calling it. I like the way with the year, the month, and the day. So we'll do 2021, comma, the month, and the month. The important thing to know is that January is 0. So October will be 9. So let's say we'll start in October 1st, and then copy this new date, add a comma, and paste the date. And let's say, let's go to 2021 10. Let's just do October and November. I will call this events. And this get event, it's an array. Let's do again this get event. And if we go to the help of Google Apps Script, it says here we have these two brackets, square brackets, that lets us know that this is an array where we have all the events. So given that it's an event, we can loop through this array with the for each function. So we're going to go to each event and do something to each event. In this case, what we're going to do is maybe we can get the ID. The ID is important to later changing this event. It can be important. So let's bring the ID, let's bring the title, but most important thing are the starting and ending dates. So let's say event, get ID, event, get title, event, get starting date, start time, and event, get end time. And we're going to log all this for the time being. Let's do this, let's run. We need the permissions for the calendar app, as we've connected previously with the form app and the sheets app, but now we're connecting to the calendar app. My mistake has been that I created this in my main account. I need to change this to the calendar, because right now, if I just enable my Google Sheets classes, I don't have any events. So I'm going to change this to Google Sheet classes. Let's do just 2 or 3 for the moment. It's a nice color, so I can differentiate. So let's do just these 3 and run. Now I can see my 3 events. The ID, the title, the starting time, and the ending time. This is what I need, especially the starting time. If in our business, we always know that it is a fixed duration, 1 hour, so we just need the starting time. But we could have the ending time if we need also. I wouldn't know how to include it in the form right now, but it may be useful to know the ending time. I think this could be a topic for another video. Just now, we need the starting time. The title, we don't need it. Just the ID and the starting time. It's just this. So, to erase this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put the event ID here, event ID. I don't know if this day of the week is useful or not. I will leave it by the moment. I'm just going to add a column here. This event ID, I'm going to bring it here, and I'm going to append a row where first I put the starting date and then the event ID. So in my sheets that I've already connected here, in my options sheet, I could do an append row. First, I'm going to include this event get start time, and then I'm going to include this event get ID. That's it, that's all I need. Let's save and let's run. I forgot to put this between parentheses, my append row. When I included this column, I broke my code. So I'm here in the dates. Now it's not column 3, but column 4, because we're going to get all this array or range. And then here in my filter, it's not in the column 2. Remember that arrays starting the column 0, so it's 0, 1, 2. Now it's column 3. I think that'll do it. Let's minimize this function. And let's save and run. Let's see. So something is not happening. Let's see. I think it's because of my array formula that it's bringing at the end here. See? Let's erase this at the moment, and we have to change one thing. The thing we need to change is the following. When I do append row here, append row goes to the last row I have. And let's say one of the bad things of using array formula is that even if here we have spaces, the array formula, we did it up until A, that is until the last row. So this array formula tells sheet or AppScript that the last row is here 1505. So when script is going to do the append row, it goes until the 1505. So we need to tell it some way that where we need to go is this 14. We can do this in different ways. The way we're going to do it is with a function called last row. This function will have as an argument the column. And first we will connect to our worksheet here with the same line. Then we'll connect so that this is reusable in any other setting. We're going to include our spreadsheet as ws.getActiveSheet. And as we did before, we're going to get a range. Our range will be just one column. So we're going to go for SS, get range, start in the first row, and in the column I gave the function, and let's go to the method get max rows. Get max rows will bring the 1500 in our case. We'll get all the rows that the sheet has. We're going to get the values to this array. Finally, we're going to do a loop. We're going to start in this same get max row, so we could include it in a variable or a constant. That's called last row. And then we can include the last row here and the last row here. We're going to start in this last row and until we get to 0, and we're going to subtract 1. Normally the for loops are I++. Here we're going to go backwards. We'll start in the last row and start subtracting 1, 1, 1 until we find a value. Just to see it in action, we're going to log our counter, and then we're going to do a conditional, an if, that when the range in the position I, this is the current row that we're in, and in the position 0, that is the only column we have right now, if it's something, then return our counter. Okay, so let's just save and run our last row, but I cannot run it as it is, So let's just do it in the column 1 for the moment. Here, so I would need that this is 13, okay? Let's play. The problem here is that the last row is 1505, and the arrays, remember that they start in 0. So if we have an array of 1505 positions, the last position would be 1504. So this is why here I need that this goes -1. But given that I need the row, so I'm going to return +1. Let's save and let's run. See what it's doing here. It started in 1505 and it went down, 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 down until it found the last row. But here I have 12 and I need 13. Why? Okay, let's log I +1 also. This is what it's going to return, 13. This is what I need, okay? So just a parenthesis of this function that is very useful. I can do a separate video just of this function that can be helpful in many situations. So now I have to change this append row because unfortunately this append row only works. I cannot change the last row, how append row sees the last row. So instead of append row, I need to also do get range. First, I'm going to put this last row as I had it before in the column here, so I can choose which column I'm going to address. And then in my get range, my row will be my last row function in the column 1 +1, because I need to start not in the 13, but in the 14. The column is going to be column 1, and we just need one row. And how many columns? In this case, only 2. And we're going to call the method setValues. The difference with setValues and append row is that setValues needs a range, while append row needed an array. So in our case, the practical implications of this is that we need to put this between another square bracket, because the ranges, if you remember, as in this range, is an array of arrays. So we need always 2 square brackets, one for the column, one for the row. So this is the only thing we need to change. Let's save it and let's run. We're going to run these fill updates as always. Let's run it. I can remove this logger log. And let's see here. So now I have my 3 events. I have one last thing I need to fix, is that this calendar should be done before I update my form and before I do this filter and all this. So we're going to bring this up. Okay, let's save and let's run it again. The thing is here, I'm having some duplicates. So maybe the best thing will be to erase everything, all this, and then bring it again, update it from my calendar. So I'm going to first, in my option sheets, get range, I'm going to clear my option sheet before, just these 2 columns from the row 1. So I'm going to say option sheet, clear content, option sheet, get range from row 2, column 1, up to last row, column 1. And up until column 2, and we're going to clear the column. So what this is going to do is we're first going to erase this. So we're just going to have our dates from the calendar. These dates we manually did in the sheet are going to go away. Let's save and let's run. One time. The thing is, when this is just the header and my last row call gets to 1 and still this is not true, so it will return nothing, it will return null. So this was my mistake. What I need to change here is that this is greater than or equal to 0 for the cases that we only have the header. Okay, now we can play it. So now I can see here that it brings my 6 events and my formula continue working great. I could, this array formula, one thing I could do is bring it up. So I can just drag down here and just put another conditional that if row is 1, then we'll put the as a header the day of the week. And if not, do the other thing. And the same for here. I can drag this up and I'm just going to say that if row A1A is 1, then just put the header I had. Is booked, or I don't remember what was the title. Let's say booked status. And if not, let's do the other if. That's it. Okay. Hello, I'm coming up from the future. I've been testing out the file and I think there are still some mistakes in my forms and in my behavior. So to end up this video, I'm going to fix them up. Again, I'm going to delete first all the responses I had before in the form. And here I'm going to, in responses, I'm going to delete all responses. Okay. And then let's try to submit another one. This is the first thing. So I don't have spaces. Let's see. Okay. So this is good. This is the first thing. I think that I should separate bringing the calendar from updating. Okay. So I think I'm going to fuse them into functions because look, I'm going to submit another response and you can see how this acts a bit crazy. Again, this one, submit. You see what is happening? Something weird is happening. Here we have it correctly and actually let me choose between two, and this everything is free, so something is not working right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the function fillOutDate from the function bring all events. And this bring events is this part, the calendar, and then this part from the events. And I think that's it. Option sheet, I just want to paste this. We could have this as a global variable, but we can do that later. To format this so it looks better. And we can erase this. I think I have some mistake. Okay, here. I have to close my brackets and close my parentheses. And I think it's okay. Let's format again. Good. I think one last thing is this clear content. Let's save. And let's play it. Let's see how this works here. Better. See? And I have this repeated 2 times. I don't, because of my mistake. So I'm going to, again, erase all answers here and erase them also here. Delete all responses. So let's try it again. Submit a response. Let's see, and here it's not updating correctly also, but we can look at that later. Let's try this one, 9 a.m. I have here 9 a.m. I have booked my 9 a.m. and if I try to submit again, here it is updated. The one I had booked is 9 a.m. of the 12th October. So I don't have it here, so it works good. So this is what I wanted to do, but what I can do is at the end of bring events, I can do fillOutDate. So once it brings the events, at the end of that, call fillOutDate. So let's go to my calendar, to my Google Sheets classes calendar. Let's see where I have them, here in October, I think. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to add another slot here. And Thursday, that's one that we don't have, Wednesday. 11:30, new slot, and make sure that this is Google Sheet classes. I think you can change this in the configuration so that by default you can have the calendar you want. Okay, so I still don't have it here. I'm going to play my bring events. Let's see. Now I have it here, the one I just created. Let's go to our reservation system. Let's refresh. And I have here the 14th, this one. No, here, the 13th, the one I just created, 11:30. So it's perfect. Just one thing missing. And the thing that is missing is that I'm going to, this bring event, I'm going to trigger it through a Google Calendar trigger. I'm going to add a trigger for my bring events. Perfect. And not from spreadsheet, but from calendar. This is a thing that's rarely used. I think it's the first project that I use it, but good to know that we have it. And here, when the calendar is updated, here is the trick. Calendar owner email. As I've told you maybe in this or the last video, the ID of your main calendar will always be your email. But right now, we are not working with our main calendar, we're working with Google Sheet classes. So we need its ID. So we go to settings. Down here, I have my ID. So I'm going to copy this ID and paste it in my trigger. Here. Save. And it should work. Let's see. Once the calendar is changed, everything will run perfectly. First the bring calendar, then the fill out dates. So let's go back and create one on Friday the 15th. Let's say at 2:15 p.m. so that we can identify it easily. New slot. Again, don't forget to choose the correct calendar, Google Sheet classes. Let's save. New slot 2:15, 15th of October. Let's go. Something here crashed. Again, let's update this to 2:30. Save. Again, we have a problem. Let's see what it is. Bring events. I think the error may be this last row. Once it starts to fill out, then this may cause some trouble. So it may be easier than using this last row is here. My for each brings me another possible variable that is the index. Let's call this index. And that's it. Each event will have a number starting in 0. The first one will be 0, the second one will be 1, the third one will be 2, and so on and so forth. So instead of this, I can put index plus 2. Given that I clear everything, so the first one will be 2, the second one 3, the third one 4, and so on, and that's it. It may be easier this way. So let's save, and let's try another one. Here we're going to update this one a third time. 2:45. Let's save and let's see how this works. I think it's okay. I think it works fine. Again, another one just to make sure on Saturday at 5 a.m. Very crazy hour. Google Sheet classes. Crazy test. Let's save. Let's see. Perfect. I think we've solved it. But if you have any trouble, just let me know and we can fix it in a new video. Let's just see that here everything is updated correctly. So you can see that I have one on the 16th at 5 a.m. So it works very good. That's it. I think I've fixed my box. Let's do another reservation just to make sure. Let's see. I have here my Saturday at 5 a.m. and I have booked my Saturday at 5 a.m. So this is it. One thing that I think we're missing, and we can address it in the next video, is to, once we have this, and once a user makes a reservation and this is booked, then I can go to my calendar, and maybe one option is to change this to another calendar. I can have one that is Google Sheets available dates, and the other one that is called Google Sheets booked dates. This is in green and the other one is red. So I can easily see which appointments are available and which appointments are booked. So it erases my calendar, my available slot, and it changes the color, changing it to a new calendar where I can easily toggle between my available slots, my booked slots and maybe see both at the same time. So I think this could be a nice experiment for next video. Just let me know what else you want us to include and we'll do it for the next video. As always, you can find the template and the code in the Patreon page and just ask me anything. I think it's turning out quite nicely. And another way to support is just subscribing and clicking on the little notification bell so you can see every time there is a new video. I try to publish one video each week. So thank you again and see you next time.